Now let's take a look at one of the easiest activities in the My Courses tool belt to set up. That is where you basically ask students to turn something in, and that's what the assignment activity is. Now there's a little bit more to the different ways one can grade that, but we're not going to look at that right here. Right now we'll just take a look at how to set that up so that we can request the students turn something in and they'll be able to upload, and I'll show you both the instructor as well as the student interface. So we're at week 7 and I'm going to put in an assignment just right out of the gate so that students have something to do, and all I'm going to have to do is come over here to add activity or resource, and that'll pop up with my usual choices, activities here and resources there. I'm looking at activities presently. Now I'm just going to go right down to assignment, and I'll click that, and then it'll give me a fairly straightforward interface here where it says what do I want to call it, and I will of course need to give it a title that's helpful to the students and a quick description of what I would like the students to do. I'm going to ask my students to upload a paper and a picture that is relevant to this week's chapter. Then below that I put in the details of the assignment of what I would like them to turn in. I'm going to have them turn in a document and an image. Now on this side we have to go through the right side to make this actually function, although a lot of this is going to be self-evident. Availability just means when does this assignment show up, and then when should this assignment close. And then I'm going to be reminded to grade this by the 24th of March because for me, I like to have it reach out and tell me that kind of thing. If you don't have to enable this. And more settings, I've got what kinds of submissions I can have. Well, I don't want to have them do this eternally. I can make it file submissions with maybe I will have them only upload, say, 4 things in case there's multiple pages to something. And then I don't have to worry about this at all. And then if I don't indicate the accepted file types, all are accepted. I will point out though that if you care to limit that, you can make it just audio files, just document files or so on, but we don't have to worry about that. And I'm asking them to turn in 2 kinds of files, and this will accept both and interpret them correctly. Now I can also say I want it to be online text. Now I've asked them to upload something in the directions, but I could also just ask them to respond to something where I would click online text and not file submissions, and then the students would have an opportunity to write in the screen itself. And let me show you what the student would see. The student sees the assignment, they open it up, they hit add submission. Now here they can either choose to file a submission, that's the first box we're seeing here, where they would put the documents they're doing, or if they would rather, they can use the online text since we enabled that, and the student would just type in their response here, and then they would be able to save changes. It would be uploaded to My Courses where the instructor can grade it, and I'll show you a couple of those steps but not in detail. So the faculty member goes to the same thing and they all see the option of grade, and then when they open that up, the students' information will populate on there. On the right hand side they can just put in a number. There's some other grading methods, but we're not going to look at those today. I will point out when you go to the grade interface, you do have the option of choosing grade all submissions, which will show you the entire class, and you can choose which paper you choose to grade in sequence or out of sequence. Okay, now let's go back to settings and finish a couple of tweaks before we make our assignment live. I'm going to go to activity completion, and then I'll be able to get this up and running, and there's details that I can share with you later. Okay, for activity completion, I'm going to make activity complete when conditions are met. I will consistently do this. Now, if it's just something I want them to look at, I'll say student must view this activity, but that's not adequate. Student must receive a grade. Now that's on me and I may not want to do that, but student must submit this activity for it to be complete. That seems to make more sense. I want to enable completion time because what I want to do is I want to have that appear on their interface so the student will see when it is supposed to be completed by, and it's crucial that after I get that all done that I come back up here and I go save and return to course. So hopefully you agree that that is a fairly straightforward process of just choosing the activity, putting in a little bit of information, adjusting a couple of settings, and then placing it online. Now your students will be turning things in. If you need to figure out a grading strategy, that'll be discussed in a later video, and also in the LMS resource guide we've addressed that as well. But just to get going, getting that assignment out there, telling your students what you'd want, and having them be able to upload it, that's really quite a bit. And those can be opened individually, as can the gradebook, and you can just manually put them in if you'd like. And it should not take you more than 10 or 15 minutes to attend to setting up an assignment.